So, you've been watching the videos and you've been hearing the stories that I've been talking about, and you really wanted to try to defend yourself, but for some reason you're just not into guns. They just don't seem to suit you too well. You're afraid to have them in your house because you have children, or you just don't like to have them at all because you're some weirdo that's afraid that a gun's just going to jump up and shoot you when it's not going to. But I digress. I'll let you have your own beliefs. Weirdo, buy a gun. Uh, let's say that you decide that I'd like to get some knives or some swords or some machetes or a hatchet or a big saw, but I don't really know what to buy. Well, you can get a knife or a sword pretty much anywhere. A machete, you can get those at Walmart. But all of them follow the same positives and negatives. Uh, a sword, while it may look cool and interesting, this is neat, but it's a cheap piece of trade day trash. It has no real functionality other than to sit over here in my floor and look cool because it falls under that. This is real, but if you notice how the handle is a little teeny tiny, but the blade is really big, does the metal just all of a sudden magically shrink to fit this? No. Actually, the blade stops right here, then they weld a little metal rod into this and then attach it, and you buy it thinking that you've got a real honest to goodness sword that you can slay zombies and fend off intruders with it, when all actuality it's just a piece of stamped metal. It has no use. So here, look at this and it'll tell you a little bit of tips about when you're deciding to buy a knife. When you're looking for a knife or a sword for your particular emergency bag, you always want to look at a couple of key features. Number one, how sturdy is it going to be? It doesn't have to be pretty, but look, if you'll notice right here, if you'll follow the blade is a single piece of metal that runs all the way through the entire handle of this knife, thus making sure that this knife is stronger than most anything else that you'll find. You know, you just don't want to go buy a knife just because it looks cool and it can do something. This may be a pretty knife and something kind of neat, but if you look at it, it's virtually just a piece of junk that at any time you could go to stab or cut something and this knife could snap and break. What good is a knife to you if it's just going to snap and break? This is junk. Don't put this in your bags. Now then something like, well, I'll just carry a sword or a big machete. While it's something this big, it's cool. The bad part about it is the blade actually only goes into this handle about this far. And then after that, it's nothing but a wire that runs to here and is screwed on by this little nut right here. So if you was to hit anything with this, it's just going to buckle and snap off and you're liable to hit this blade upside your head. So if you're looking for something for like a machete or a sword, make sure that you look at the blade. Notice how this blade goes all the way through the handle. One piece of steel, so you know you're always got one chunk of metal in your hand, so you don't have to worry about it bending or buckling. Also, when you're looking at knives, look for knives that have other usefulnesses in them. Like, see, this knife here has what's called a belt ripper, where if you were in a seat belt, you could take this and stick it and pull it through, or if somebody's hands were bound, so you didn't have to worry about cutting them, you can take this and put it behind there and pull. This knife also has spring-loaded assist. So with one finger, with a slight push, you can open this knife one-handed. It's also a lock blade, and it has a way to lock. This is called a SOG Trident. You can pick these up at Walmart or any online place for under 50 bucks. Now then, if you don't have something like that, you can also, once again, find a knife that's got a good thick blade, good strong metal handle, and a lock. That way, if you need it, you can cut, stab, slice, dice, anything you need, and it's still a good solid knife. You don't always have to have the best knives or swords or anything like that for your emergency bag. Start out with something, any knife that you can find. You buy it at a trade day for $3 or $4. Just look at its construction, make sure the blade is nice and solid and well built, and go from there. You can start out with this, and then over time you get a little bit more money. You go like that, and you can keep upping and upping, and you can never have too many knives. I mean, there's always, you put one in your car, one in your truck, one in a drawer, one in something else, so you can always have a knife as reach. You know, you don't always have to have a gun. This is just as effective. You just got to be a little bit closer to do something with it. Well, now then that you've seen the different ways that knives are different and why knives should be the same, we go back to the old trusty Gerber Ultimate Survival Knife with its single piece of steel with a hammer end, so it can be used as a multi-tool for beating, bashing, as well as slicing and dicing. It has these nice 3 little holes in it where you can take it and lash this to a stick and you have a spear. And as well as it can be used to start fires, you can shave with it, you prepare food, defend yourself. You can also use it and drive it in a tree or a side of a wall and hang things off of. Make an excellent coat rack. But once again, you can get this just about anywhere. Now then, well, you don't want something bright and shiny and orange that everyone can see. You want something a little easier to hide and just a little more fun to carry. A good pocket knife is always nice to have. So go out and look at knives. I mean, you're going to stores anyway. Why not stop over in the sporting goods section and just check out knives? You can be surprised at some of the knives you'll find and the multiple uses they have for not only preparing food, but in self-defense and home defense. So if you're afraid of a gun, a knife is the next best thing. Till next time.